Welcome to the Swishlist Podcast, where we talk all things basketball. Hosted by two brothers, Moses and Roman. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome in episode 14 of the Swishlist Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. We have so much to talk about. It's been a while, but we're excited to have you here. We're going to talk about Eric Lewis. If you don't know who Eric Lewis is, maybe you need to go back and listen to one of our previous episodes. We're actually going to talk about Deion Sanders. I know. You're saying, Moses, this is a basketball podcast. What are we doing talking about Deion Sanders? Well, it's so big. We have to talk about it. We're going to discuss the new Undisputed, Noah Lyles, Team USA. We got a lot of storylines that we want to talk about today. We're very excited to have this episode to share it with you. Roman, good to have you back. You are now in school yet again. How are you feeling out there?
Back on the school grind. Good to be back here. Gonna miss my old setup, but it's just excited to record, man.
But yeah, there it is. Otero basketball. If you don't know Otero basketball, this podcast is about to put you on game. Okay, go look them up. Go check them out. Make sure to tune into some games this season. If you need a link for some apparel, let me know in the DMs. We'll get you a link. What do they have on the store right now, Roman?
Man, we got it all. We got shirts, we got shorts, we got hoodies, we got long sleeves tees, we got short sleeve tees, we got like classic shorts. You wear around shorts. We got athletic shorts. I think we got hats, some compression leggings. We got it all. So,
what's the mascot? What's the mascot out there?
Rattlers. We are the Otero Rattlers.
What's a rattler?
A snake, and there's a lot of them out here.
Oh my gosh. Roman went from being a greasy Don to a rattler. Very interesting.
Great. Not your normal high school mascot names.
Well, where should we start, Roman? Where do you want to start?
I think we should start with football. Talk about Deion Sanders and that Boulder, Colorado team.
Yeah, you know what? Otero College is in Colorado. This is a Colorado story. We probably should talk about it. So for those of you that don't know, Deion Sanders and his son Shador, it was their debut game against TCU. TCU was in the college football playoff. They were in the championship game. They lost last season. They were 20-point favorites to destroy Colorado. People did not believe in Deion. They said there was no chance he was going to win. Too many transfers. He was never going to be able to pull it together. Questioning whether or not his son was going to be accurate with the football. Ball placement was going to be where it needed to be. Do they actually have legitimate players? And that game may have been the greatest college football game I have ever watched because it kept you in awe the entire time. Shador throws for 510 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. It's back and forth. The game was close, high scoring, very intense. But there was a player that caught your eye, Roman. Who was it that you were paying attention to?
Man, this Travis Hunter kid, obviously, the Deion Sanders son, props to him.
He was good.
Amazing game, but everybody's talking about Travis Hunter too, but I just think it's good to spotlight him. He's playing both sides of the ball, and we don't see that very often. I think he played a total of 110 snaps.
Mm-hmm.
That's unheard of today. You have your specialists in everything, especially the impact that he has on both sides of the ball, catching touchdowns, but also defending the best wide receiver. Like, this guy's, it's unbelievable. Playing both sides of the ball, especially at that level, is crazy. So props to him for what he did.
Yeah, this was big time. He was big time as well. Honestly, if you watched that game, you felt like you walked out thinking Colorado has 3 players that might be able to win the Heisman.
Yeah, 3 Heisman candidates is crazy, but they've got it.
I was so impressed. Deion talked about this. He said, I've been him since Pee Wee football. He's been that guy, successful at every level possible. So why did we think he wasn't going to be able to do it as a coach? And he kept the receipts in the post-game press conference as well. And he's going to keep them week after week after week. I think this is the biggest storyline in college football right now, in a year that feels like you don't have the dominance yet coming from an Alabama. There were questions about who their starting quarterback was going to be. Georgia even though they've been incredible the last couple seasons, they're still relatively new as a top dog. There were not a lot of major storylines coming from those high level teams. There's a lot of stories about Caleb Williams with USC. I'll give you that. But in this year where it felt like the entire offseason, we've talked about conference realignment and all of these different colleges jumping to the Big Ten, jumping to the SEC. Now you've got schools going to the ACC. Colorado is an amazing story. And it very well may be that Deion Sanders ushers in a paradigm shift in college football. And it's so against the grain. You know, he talked about when he recruited Travis Hunter and the fact that he didn't just buy him as a player, that he had real conversations with him. He had real conversations with his mom. And he told his mom, hey, you're going to bring me a boy, and in 3 years, you're going to get back a man. You know, there's real commitment to these players. I was listening to the Doug Gottlieb show this week. It's a sports radio show on Fox Sports Radio. One of his guests actually was writing a book on Deion Sanders when he was back at Jackson State. And this shows you the caliber of coach, caliber of person that Deion is, right? Because we see the flashing lights, you know, the stories, the big headlines, but he would have a weekly meeting with his players that were struggling with depression, anxiety, maybe some stuff with family. He would hold a meeting for those players to just talk through what was going on in their lives, to give them a chance to vocalize how they felt, to connect with their teammates, to connect with the coaches, and to actually get the help that they needed to make sure that they stayed on track. Like Deion isn't somebody that just cares about winning on Saturday, and it's a big deal to him, but he genuinely is revolutionizing college football. He's invested in the lives of every single one of his players, and what an incredible game. Shout out to Deion, Shador, Hunter, all these guys. I'm so excited to see what they do next week because now America's watching.
All
America's
the eyes are
watching.
on them. Yeah. And that's cool. Like I didn't know that, what you just said. I think you see that a lot of times from these amazing players who become coaches. They try and go back to the college level and start their coaching career. Some of the greats, you just can't teach it. They were great for a reason. I think great example is Magic Johnson. He tried to do a coaching for a little bit, did not work out. You just can't teach that kind of talent sometimes. But a good thing that a coach can always do, especially the college level, is not just teach an athlete for sports and how to live in the sports world, but also teach them for life. If a coach can do that, especially what you said about Travis Hunter, like I'm not going to bring you back a boy, like he's got to be a man in a few years. Like that's exactly what a college coach should be doing, not just teaching a sport, but also teaching for life.
Yeah, and Dion's going to put the right coaches around these players to focus on their development to get them to the league. Not just that, I saw probably my favorite meme coming out of that game was some of the TCU players were talking to Dion after the game. And the meme was, this is the last person you want to see your best players talking to after you lose. The last person is Deion Sanders because he is the king of recruiting. And I'll tell you what, man, stock is rising. Colorado stock is rising.
Yeah. No, all it's going to take is a few more good games, and the recruiting has already begun.
Oh
He meant it when
my.
he said he's bringing his luggage. He meant it.
And it's perfect timing for when college football, when the playoff expands going into next season, they're moving into the Big 12. Man, Colorado, arguably the biggest storyline in college sports right now. A little bit of a transition. I want to talk about maybe one of those shows that doubted our guy Deion Sanders, and that's this new Undisputed. Undisputed's not a new show to anybody. Skip Bayless is a name that if you're listening to this podcast, you very well have probably heard of Skip Bayless at some point or another. The notorious LeBron hater, MJ fanatic, makes all Cowboys fans look bad. Skip Bayless lost his co-host Shannon Sharp a few months ago. It was pretty obvious that it was not going to be a lasting relationship. They reloaded, launched with a few co-hosts, Richard Sherman,
Maybe a few too many.
Michael Irvin, and Keyshawn Johnson. And I'm not going to lie to you. So far, it's looked like a mess. It's looked like an absolute mess. How do you feel about what we're seeing out of Undisputed, the new Undisputed?
It's too many guys that want to talk too much. I mean, you see some of these other shows, like even with the TNT crew. Like, they give each other the time to talk. Like, Shaq and Kenny are big talkers, but they all give each other the time to talk. So far, it just seems like these guys just want to one-up each other so quickly, and, like, they don't have that presence yet of, like, "Hey, this is a show, I need to let other people speak." So there's a lot of the talking over, "Let me tell you why I made that point." There's a lot of this backtracking that they do.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you wanna talk about how I said that? Let's go back to that issue," which I think with time, they'll get better at it, but as of right now, it just looks out of sorts, and Skip Bayless just kinda sits there and watches it all unfold as these 3 new guys try and talk about these issues.
Do you think Skip Bayless is punching air when he wakes up at however early he does to get ready for the show, knowing that, like, it is nowhere near what it was when he had Shannon Sharp? Like,
He took him for granted. He took him for granted, and, he probably thinks about it every single morning.
he has to. The only good thing coming out of Undisputed right now is their new intro by Lil Wayne. He killed that one for sure. That is that was good. But outside of that, I just don't think that the show really makes sense, especially because now they're so much more one-dimensional. The fact that it's like 3 if you're going to expand, why not have a basketball analyst? Why not have somebody that makes you a little bit more well-rounded? Because Keyshawn and Michael, they're definitively football. That's what they've been this entire time. It's gonna be strange to kinda hear them talk about something that they haven't built their career around really up to this point. So it brought me to another question, which was why did Skip want to do this round table style show? What sparked this transition? And I have a couple theories. You tell me if you think I'm way out of line or if I'm close at all. Okay.
Okay.
Theory number one, Skip Bayless made some pretty aggressive comments with the DeMar Hamlin situation, petition like, oh, they need to go and play football again. Made some comments that made Shannon leave the show for extended periods of time, put him in very awkward situations. I don't know if you watched the episode or it was
Put your
just Skip.
glasses back on.
Y'all, my gosh, yeah, pretty intense. So this is my theory. Skip's pretty old. He's getting up there. Maybe Fox is positioning a round table to phase Skip out over time. That's theory number one. Theory number two, Skip couldn't land a legitimate co host. So he had to get a group of guys that could help a couple days out of the week over the next year or so. Richard Sherman was doing a lot of things with Amazon. Michael Irvin, we saw him on the sideline this past week with Colorado. You get this revolving door of who is actually available. What if Skip just wasn't actually able to land a co-host? What if nobody was willing to touch him with a 10-foot pole and sit across the table from him day after day after day? Am I close on either of my dark horse theories? What do you
I
think?
think second one is definitely more likely. We know how the show goes. I don't think somebody who's in their right mind would wanna debate with him a lot of the time, so that makes sense. I think Skip Bayless is gonna be doing this for a very long time, continued. It doesn't seem like he's losing the love for it at all, so I think he's gonna be continuing this for a long
I
time,
mean,
so
he's
I
delusional. So yeah,
but he loves it regardless, so I don't think they're trying to slowly take him out, but I like your second one. That one makes sense. I don't know what co-host in their right mind would wanna do it with Skip Bayless after
Shannon.
what Shannon Sharp had to deal with before that.
Let's talk about some of the other major headlines. One of the biggest ones has been Noah Lyles. I feel like I watched this guy say world champion of what? Like 50 times a day for like the past 3 days. Every scroll, somehow I'm seeing this guy. So Roman, help us if there's anybody that doesn't know who Noah Lyles is. Let's give people some context, and I want to hear your thoughts on the whole world champion conversation.
Noah Lyles, the world champion right now of the 100-meter run. So he's on his high horse. He's feeling good, and for some reason, in a press conference, he just feels the need out of nowhere to just be like, the worst thing about it is, or something like
Yeah.
that. That's how he like bridged it.
Yeah.
And it was just so random and out of nowhere. Like, I don't know if he was trying to create a rise. It seemed a little bit rehearsed, the types of things he was saying, but he just is trying to discredit the NBA because, I mean, a lot of people say they're the world champions. Some of their hats have said world champions on it. I don't know. I can't say I fully disagree with him because it's kind of true. The NBA is not the world champions. They are the best players in the world, but that doesn't make them the champions of the world. I somewhat agree with him.
Yeah, so this is my thing, right? Because Greg Popovich talked about this, geez, like 10 plus years ago. Noah Lyles felt like that kid on your high school team that wanted to be the guy, right? Wanted to have that like stereotypical bus ride home after a big loss or pregame speech, but he like comes off the bench and plays like 2 minutes and has scored like 4 points the entire season. Maybe what he's saying is true, but he is far and away the wrong guy to say it. He's the
Exactly.
guy when they stand up that everybody says, shut the hell up, sit down. Like, sit down. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's that
I wish
guy.
somebody would have said something in the press conference, like just
Yeah.
stopped
Or
him. Whoa, whoa,
like
whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't need that. We don't
like
need
the
that.
starters in the back of the bus just start laughing because it's like, come on, bro. Like what he's saying is true. We got to play better. Like, shut up, dude. Sit
Yeah,
down. You're
coach
not
is
the
right.
guy. You're
Coach
not
is
the
right,
guy.
guys.
And you know what? To be fair, you also didn't even win in the Olympics. So what are you really the world champion of? Because it feels like the world really cares more about the Olympics than what happens in those 4 years in between. So focus on your own craft. Where I really have an issue, and this is something that's coming up a lot more, is one of the biggest things that he said that stood out to me was where he said, and I don't get me wrong, I love the US at times, right? It seems like there's a lot more athletes that are representing the United States that when they get an opportunity to speak at the podium, they want to make sure they take a dig at their own country. And that is something I maybe I am not paying enough attention, but I don't see other people do that when they're representing their country. And there are plenty of problems happening in the world. Nowhere is perfect, but maybe show some respect to the place that puts you in an environment that allowed you to find the success that you have. I don't think that's the platform to just take shots at your own country. And I think it's just strange that that's the point that we're in. I'm like, look, man, if you hate the United States at times, you don't have to actually stay here. Like all these people that are like, oh man, can't stand the US, you can leave. Like you can actually move away and go be somewhere that you actually want to be. That's the biggest thing that's been bothering me is like this happened a lot with the women's soccer team, the Team USA women's soccer team. It feels like they hate the country that they live in. We got this coming from Lyles. Like, I don't know. Am I crazy? Like,
No, I mean, again, it just feels like sort of scripted to me. Because what did that have to do with anything that he was talking about with the NBA? Like at that point, it just seems like he's kind of trying to get some more things to say, some more looks. Like I'm talking about the NBA. Let me just be like, oh, I love my country at times. Like let me be woke for a minute and
yeah.
make people love me. Like it's so random to me to just so random to throw that out there about the NBA, but then to follow it up and just be like, don't get me wrong, I love the US at times. Like what are you trying to say? Like why do you have to and you're wearing like USA gear, running for the country, like why do you have to say something like that? So I agree with you. It seems pointless.
For anybody that's listening, I'm curious what your opinion is. Did you agree with it? Did you not? Where did you stand? We want to hear what your thoughts were. Please send us a message, send us a DM. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, sorry, X. We're on TikTok. YouTube. We're on all your favorite platforms. Feel free to let us know. You can even email us at swishlistpod@gmail.com. You can send us an email. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you stand on this whole Noah Lyles situation? I want to bring some things back from a conversation we had a few weeks ago. We talked about a particular referee named Eric Lewis, and it was blatantly obvious that we found this man's burner account on Twitter. Apparently, he didn't pay enough attention when we caught Kevin Durant years back. He decided it was a good idea to go after some fans that were calling him out for the way that he was calling games. His family, most notably, are Celtics fans, and he has obviously been favoring the Celtics and targeting teams like the Los Angeles Lakers. He was a biased ref, right? The NBA launched an investigation, but has since called off the investigation because Eric Lewis retired.
Man, hung it up. Great timing. I'm sure he didn't want to. I know he didn't want to stop
No,
refereeing,
the bag
but
the
you
bag those
know
guys
that he was
make.
gonna lose his job.
Yes.
Like I said this when we talked about it a few months back. There's no like they do their investigation for a few months, but he has to be fired. Like
Yeah.
as much as you want to, as much as other refs want to make public announcements about refereeing, they don't do it because that's not their job. Their job is just to ref the game. And to me, it kind of feels like he knows that he was doing something wrong. He knows that he was favoring the Celtics. So he has to kind of overcompensate. I'm going to go ahead and make a burner and tell people what refereeing is really like. And I mean, obviously he didn't think about it enough, but I mean, great move by him to just hang it up. Super smart. There's no reason to continue the investigation.
Well, okay, but let's
He's
not
back.
act like this wasn't his decision. You know for a fact that Adam Silver and the NBA, as soon as they got enough evidence that proved like, okay, we know this is a problem, they went to Eric Lewis and they said, "Look, here are our options, okay? And you've worked with us for a long time. You can retire or we can call off the investigation, or we're going to have to release this information publicly. It's going to make you look bad, it's going to make us look bad, and we're still going to have to fire you anyways." So,
That's true.
like the what really happened here is he was guilty, and rather than having to show publicly what they found, he retired so that they don't have to release this information. This is not the first time the NBA's dealt with a scandal with referees. Now, we actually don't even know how deep this went, right? A lot of people have money tied up in sports betting. They're gambling on these games. The last thing the NBA wants people knowing about is another referee scandal. Evan Turner and Andre Iguodala were on a podcast. They actually talked about when Evan Turner, he actually talked about it. Andre Iguodala didn't want to talk about it. But Evan Turner talked about how they were playing in a game 7 right before they were gonna the next round. It was Cleveland with LeBron, and I believe they were playing the Boston Celtics in the series. And he was talking with one of the veterans on the team. He was excited to play, and the vet said, "We're gonna have to win by 15 to win by 1." And he was like, "What do you mean by that?" And he basically said that the NBA is an entertainment business and people want to watch the Boston Celtics play LeBron James. They don't want to watch the 76ers play against LeBron James. And so if you are going to actually win this series, you're going to have to win by 15 because the way it's going to be refereed, you have to far and away beat them. And he even admitted it himself. He was like, "Hey, like, I don't even necessarily want to watch us play the Cavs." The NBA at this point is one of the only leagues that we see in the modern era this much come out about referees. There's a documentary on Netflix about the stuff going on with referees. Scott Foster was connected to that. Something like 30 or 40 calls to Scott Foster, and yet we still see him in major playoff games. Questionable at best. Eric Lewis, this is now extremely questionable. And the NBA is very swiftly going to try to not talk about this, right? Try to create other storylines in other places if they can. They tried to sweep this under the rug. This is a real issue. This is a real problem. And I don't know where it ends when it comes to the NBA with referees.
Sad. It sucks. I mean, being
You
a
can't
fan of
trust
the
them.
NBA, yeah, being a fan is just like you're not seeing you're not seeing real basketball. You hear the players talk about it like we have to destroy these guys to even have a chance to win the game because after all, it is entertainment. You want to see these certain matchups, and it's like what's the level for the NBA? Like, obviously they're gonna make a close game, but it's like how many different series would we have seen at this point if it was just all natural basketball? I think about that all the time, and it's like it is an entertainment business. I mean, people want to see, I mean, for 4 straight years, Cavs and Warriors. That's LeBron James, Steph Curry. Like that's what you want to see. But it's like, how different would it have been if we were really being honest and it wasn't just about the entertainment? But that's how it is.
It's the nature of the game. But let's talk about what basketball we actually are getting to watch right now. A lot of that is Team USA. There's a lot of storylines coming out of Team USA right now. The biggest ones are, and we'll talk about all of them. It's that USA Lithuania game. We're going to get into that. Anthony Edwards and Austin Reeves. But let's start with Team USA losing to Lithuania. I can still see the Lithuanian player. He backs down Austin Reeves, goes for a bully ball, little bank shot, sticks his tongue out at Reeves, makes sure he sees him, really makes sure he knows, like, hey, I just sunned you right now. Team USA loses one game. They're certainly not out of it by any stretch of the word. People are saying, hey, what's going on? Is it an overreaction? What do we need to actually do with this Team USA thing?
Overreaction. I don't know if you watched the game, but USA got down by 21 at one point. I don't know what they were doing, but they got down by 21. They brought it back. I think it got to like a 5-point game in the fourth quarter. And then Lithuania just could not miss. There's probably 3 or 4 3-pointers in the last few minutes that they just threw up and they went down. I mean, it's some of the best basketball I've ever seen. Their fourth quarter numbers are crazy for that game. And USA tried to match them, and they did for a lot of the time. Brandon Ingram was kind of non-existent, but Anthony Edwards hit big shots. Jalen Brunson came up big when he needed to. And the USA did everything they could, but Lithuania just could not miss. And loose balls were going their way in that fourth quarter, stuff like that. So I just think it's a single bad game. And even in their bad game, it was a really close game. So overreaction, in my opinion. I still think USA is going to come out on top. But, I mean, props to Lithuania, 5-0.
Yeah, I mean, like Roman, if someone's a great 3-point shooter in the NBA, what are they shooting on average?
You should be above 40 if you're a great 3-point shooter, I'd say.
Okay. Lithuania shot 56% from the 3-point line against Team USA.
The best
56%. That is out of this world. I'd like to see if they could do that again. I doubt it, right? They shot 56% from 3. They had a 20-plus point lead on Team USA. They won by 6 points. Okay.
That was a 4-point game at one point.
So if they shoot above average for an NBA player, let's call it 40s to mid 40s, they lose that game. So in there lies what happened in this game. Lithuania played the game of their life. They were playing against Team USA. This is what you should expect if you're Team USA. You're going to get people's best every single time, and you should. But that night, they were just better. It's an overreaction, 100%. Shout out to Lithuania. They're proving that they're a legitimate team, that they're here to play. They're not messing around. And if you're Team USA, you're probably grateful you lost now so that you can bounce back, figure out where you stand, and make sure this doesn't happen again. But it's a massive overreaction. I mean, 56% from the 3-point line.
56 is crazy.
56 is.
But the World Cup is exciting. I mean, Germany looks really good. Canada looks really good. USA looks really good. I'm really excited to see who that final game is here in about a week.
I mean, we're not going to talk about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico looks good. And you want to talk about a guy putting up crazy numbers. You see Jordan Clarkson go for 20 in like a few minutes. Yes. 20 in under 4 minutes was wild. Blew the game wide open.
He won that game for him.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was a close game before he started just lit a flamethrower and just was just scorching everything. World Cup basketball has been fun to watch. And there's been one player that I think his stock has risen more than anybody else's. Arguably, well, I don't even know if I can make that claim. Maybe that's a topic of debate. Roman, let me ask you this. Whose star has rised more, Anthony Edwards or Austin Reeves?
Calling Austin Reeves a star is crazy. First of all, let's not do that.
Hey, okay. All right. Hey, my bad.
He's not a star.
You know how I feel about Austin Reeves. Come on, man.
I do, and I somewhat agree with you. I think he's very overhyped. I mean, he's on the Lakers, so obviously they're gonna love him. USA boy, homegrown talent, and I mean, you don't see this a lot. How many guys are like that? I mean, what, like Gordon Hayward, Duncan Robinson, like just the pure white guys who are good. And he's just another one, but he's on the Los Angeles Lakers. He's definitely got the talent to be that like the most improved player because he's already the favorite for it. If he plays the way that he's been playing for Team USA, he'll probably get that. But I mean, Anthony Edwards. And
Yeah.
I think the jump that he's going to have the Timberwolves making from barely making the playoffs to what they're going to do next year, I think it'll be really good, especially Cat's not going to be coming off an injury this time. He's been playing super good in the World Cup too. I'm taking Anthony Edwards.
I mean, if we're going to talk about legitimate stars, Anthony Edwards is a dog. The biggest thing working against him is the Timberwolves organization and their bonehead moves like getting Rudy Gobert.
I think Patrick Beverly talked about this in a podcast. I don't know if you said that, but if you saw that, but somebody asked Patrick Beverly, like, is he going to stay in Minnesota or a question like that? And Pat Bev just said, oh, he'll get out of Minnesota. He'll get out of Minnesota because it's like, it's widely known that Minnesota is not the place to be if you want to win. And
it's a disaster.
Very obvious that Anthony Edwards wants to win and can win if he's in the right place. But if Minnesota doesn't figure it out within the next year or two, like he needs to get out of there.
He needs to get out, period. Minnesota is built for your my player. Okay. They're built for 2K. They're built for, hey, if your my player goes and plays with the Minnesota Timberwolves, all right, you got Cat for 3-point shooting. You got some defense on the interior. You got your alley-oop dunks to Rudy Gobert, and you got Anthony Edwards going crazy. Like, they're built for 2K. That's like the perfect franchise for my player, but they're not built for winning in the league. Not a chance. So he does need to get out of there. I think Anthony Edwards is going to cement himself as a top 3 shooting guard in this league. And there are talks based on how he's been performing that he could be the face of the NBA over the next couple of years. And I know the game, it's international. A lot of the best players are from Serbia, from Slovenia, from Greece, all these other countries, Cameroon. But when you're the best American player, that means something. Like that matters. That matters. This is an American league, right? Not world champs. If you're the best American player, that stands for something.
And the NBA is going to pump his image out if he puts up crazy numbers.
And I
feel like it's Luka him. That's what I'm thinking.
I think it was Ja, but Ja is too big of a bonehead. I think Zion Williamson was right there, but he can't stay healthy. And now he's got off the court issues that we've seen as well. Anthony Edwards is unapologetically just himself. He unapologetically plays basketball. He just is who he is. He's here to work. He wants to get the job done. I like his work ethic. I like what he stands for. And I think he's going to be great. Now, I don't think he has a Michael Jordan trajectory. I don't think he has a Kobe Bryant trajectory. You can be the face of the league and not be one of those guys. I could see him having a Vince Carter type of career where maybe he's able to compete for a championship, hopefully win a championship. But I could see him being in that Vince Carter class, extremely athletic, can score from anywhere, incredibly talented. Sky is the limit with Anthony Edwards. And personally, I like the Timberwolves. I'm just honest about what we're seeing from them. And so if he can rise to be a top 3 shooting guard, gets out of Minnesota, maybe he can be in the MVP discussion. whatever team gets Anthony Edwards for the next, when he signs that next deal, you got a winner long term. You can book that right now.
Yeah, we like Anthony Edwards here.
Austin Reeves is like an industry plant, bro. He's like the Bobby Altoff of the NBA. He's not. I don't know what all. He's like white Jeremy Lin. You know how I feel about this. Come on, man. There's too many clips of this guy getting dominated in game. Like I just can't. I can't get behind him. Great story, great kid. More power to him getting his money. I want him to be successful, but he's not like a third option in a big three. Like all this talk, like with the Lakers, it's blown out of proportion. You're setting this kid up for failure. People are going to start targeting him in ways that they shouldn't have had to, similar to what LeVar was doing to Lonzo when he first came into the league. Like there's just too much hype, too many people fanboying over this guy.
Yeah, if he doesn't put up close to 20 a game,
Yeah,
people are gonna be like, "What happened to AR?"
yeah, dude, it feels like a house of cards. Feels like a house of cards to me, and I'm not big on it. Not big on it at all. I do want to play a game though. Let's play a game, Roman. Blind ranking 5 NBA players chose at random. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's do it. We're both doing it, right?
Rudy Gobert.
I'm gonna put him even. I'm gonna put him at the 3.
Alex Caruso.
Ooh. Let's go 4 with Alex. Let's go 4.
Zach LaVine.
I'm gonna go 1 with Zach. I'm gonna put Zach at 1.
Luka Doncic.
Dang it! I didn't think that was gonna happen. 2.
Kevin Huerter.
Oh, okay, then it kind of works out. Kevin Huerter, my 5.
Hey, there you go.
You say Zach, and it's like, what are the chances that I get Luka next?
I mean, it's not like Zach's won anything.
Yeah, but I mean, talent-wise,
I mean, talent is crazy.
25 player?
He's not a top 25 winner.
It wasn't winner.
No, it wasn't
Place
winner.
him in order.
Hey, at least you didn't get Killian Hayes.
Killian Hayes.
Poor kid.
That guy is hated. Let me give you one.
All right,
Mo. We got 5 random NBA players. You got to rank them 1 to 5. Put them in order. Ricky Rubio.
5.
5.
5.
Chris Paul.
2.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
1.
Sean Elliott.
3.
Tyson Chandler.
4. Let's go.
That worked out.
Let's go.
That worked out well.
Oh, man.
People, Sean Elliott, Tyson Chandler, I don't know.
No. What? Sean Elliott.
Tyson was good, though.
No, Tyson was good. Sean Elliott was better.
You win. You win this time, sir.
I won the game. You
put
Zach.
Lost the game.
Shoot. Everybody who's listening, you just lost the game. Gosh, dang it. All right. Well, that is it for episode 14 of the Swishlist Podcast. We appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for being here. This episode was a fun one. And you know what? Just to give you guys a life update for what it's worth to you. I don't know if anybody listening here cares about a life update, but I will be moving my family over the next couple weeks. So hopefully the backdrop stays the same, but it's going to be coming to you from another location. So bear with me, people. It's not as easy for me to move as it is for Roman. All right.
Yeah, just load up one car and keep it going.
That's the biggest update coming from us. But I think it was a great episode. Kind of a quick hit for you this week. Roman, send us off.
Thank you to all the current listeners. Thank you to all the new listeners. We're on all your favorite platforms. Sorry about us being a little slow. You know, we're not in season. We got a little bit less to talk about. A few months coming around. We'll be right back into the NBA season. We'll have weekly updates for you. Subscribe, like, Follow us on all your favorite platforms.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're there. X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We're there.
If you want us to talk about something, if you just want to give us an opinion, just reach out to us. Why not? Why not?
Yeah. We'd love to share your, we'll read your comments on the pod.
And we will not downgrade you at all. We're open to it all. We are open.
Send us some stories. I like that.
Send us stuff. And if you're not sending us stuff or following us, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Swishlist Podcast. We are out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Swishlist Podcast. Catch us on social, and we'll see you next week.